This video contains the most important music theory you will ever learn. If you're new to this channel, I post regular videos on music related topics, so if you're into that, please subscribe. I recently watched a YouTube video by Neely called Music Theory and White Supremacy. It was a really interesting video and there were some great points being made, but what I found most interesting was the point that a lot of music theory is taught in music education is not relevant to the music that is being produced today. So I've studied a fair amount of music theory in my time. A lot of it was very useful, but there were some things that I've never really used. So for example, I've studied counterpoint, which although I think it strengthened my existing knowledge, it hasn't really come in that useful for the music that I create. But it got me thinking, what is the most useful thing that I've learned? So I was describing this to a student of mine, shout out to Chris. He's just finished studying counterpoint, but his interests lie in writing modern pop music. So as our conversation progressed, I realised that the best thing I could teach him was harmonizing the major scale. So in today's video, I'm going to go into the details of this topic. First of all, I'm going to explain the theory, and then I'm going to show you how you can create music using this theory. So we need to start with the major scale. You can think of the major scale as being at the centre of all music theory. So we first need to understand how the major scale works in order to harmonise the major scale. So there are 12 notes, and these notes can be arranged to form different scales, each of which offers its own tonality or flavour. Notes next to each other are a semitone apart, and two notes that have one note in between them are a tone apart. So using C as an example, the C major scale is created by taking a note, then going up a tone, then another tone, then a semitone, then a tone, another tone, and finally a semitone will get you back to the original note. So whichever note you start on, by following this pattern, you'll create a major scale. For example, here is an F major and a G major. Each one starts on a different pitch, but they all have the same tonality. Now we have our major scale, we will harmonise it. So this basically means we will use the notes of the scale to create chords. Using G major as an example, we start with the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. There are 7 notes in this scale, and we can create a chord from each of these scale degrees. To create our first chord, we take the first, the third, and the 5th note. If we play them together, this gives us the G major chord. This is our 1 chord. These chords are built using thirds. So you take a note, skip a note, take a note, skip a note, and then take a note. We repeat this process from each of the scale degrees. So for the second chord, it's A, C, and E, which makes it A minor. The 3 chord is B, D, and F sharp, which creates a B minor. The 4th chord is major, the 5th chord is major, the 6th chord is minor, and the 7th chord creates a diminished. This gives us 7 chords. As I play through them, you can hear the major scale within. If you were to follow this process in other keys, for example D flat major, you would generate the same 7 chords. The chord quality will always be the same, but the pitches will change. So the order is always major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So that's worth memorizing. So why is this useful? It's useful for a number of reasons. It will help you learn songs quicker, it will help your ear training, it will help you demystify your instrument, and it can speed up your songwriting process. In a recent video, Beato listened to the top 10 pop songs on Spotify. Whilst he is listening, he names the chord progression of each song. He is able to do this because he's internalized the information contained within this video, and has then learned what each combination of the chords sound like, to the point that he can recall them instantly. If you randomly choose 4 chords from the 7 and put them in random order, you will get something usable. We will omit the diminished chord, as this is rarely found in modern pop music. This leaves us 6 chords, which conveniently match the number of sides on a dice. So let's roll the dice 4 times and play the results. Okay, so the first number we roll is 3, and that gives us F minor. Okay, now we have a 4, and that gives us G flat major. Okay, the next one is 5, and that gives us A flat major. And finally, we have the 1, which is a D flat major. Okay, so that gives us F minor, G flat major, A flat major, and D flat major. So what we're going to do is program that into Logic, into the MIDI roll, and we're going to see what that sounds like. Okay, so it's not the greatest chord progression ever, but it does work. So we're just going to add to that now a drum beat, a bass line, and a melody. Just going to knock this up real quick. Okay, so that's not the best piece of music that I've ever created, but I did that real quick and just using the randomly generated chords. So a quick disclaimer, just accepting things that are randomly generated will not improve you as a composer, and you'll probably end up writing less decent music as well. There are 1,296 possible outcomes, and you will find that every outcome works to some degree. But it's up to you to figure out what it is you like. If you understand everything in this video, it will give you a solid musical foundation, which will help you become a well-rounded musician. So I've devised a system around this concept which will help you completely master your instrument. I'm going to follow this video up with a series of videos which explain that system. So if that's interesting to you, please subscribe and press the bell button to be notified. Thank you.